Hey guys, it's James. Welcome back to my channel. It's been a while, and today I'm going to be talking about the basics of Scum, which is a new survival game, and how to survive your first day. Something to know about this game, it's ridiculously complex for those who want it to be complex. Scum does a fantastic job of walking the line between casual and hardcore survival. For the sake of this video, I'm going to be covering the basics in the most concise way possible, so you guys can get back to gaming and focus on enjoying the game. In this guide, I'm going to cover character creation, inventory screen and management, crafting basics, zombies, mechs and mill bases, and links to timestamps will be in the description down below, so that if you care about something specific and you don't want to watch the whole thing, or you want to rewind to a specific point, feel free to use that. First is character creation. Scum's character creation impacts nearly every factor of gameplay moving forward. Something important to keep in mind is that your characters are specific to the server that you're on, and when you die, you will respawn with the same character design, just a wiped skill tree. To create a fully new character, you need to actually leave the server and rejoin and select new character option instead of continue. This will of course be subject to change as the game is currently in early access and could potentially be completely different in the future. Alright gents, this is the character creation screen. I'm going to keep this as concise as I possibly can. Top left, immediately you've got your age. You can range from 20 to 50. What that does is it changes your bonuses for your age. Now at 20, you have 2 dexterity. 2 dexterity, or 2 points, is the highest you can have in one specific skill, and that changes as you level up. Once you hit 30, it takes from dexterity into strength. 40 moves that dexterity into constitution. And at 50, you get +1 to intellect, okay, and you lose constitution. It kind of makes sense. Over the age of 40, wisdom with age, intellect goes up. It makes sense. Does not physically affect the appearance of your character yet, but that will happen with time. You've got your main attributes down here. You've got strength, constitution, dexterity, and intelligence. All of these attributes play into how many skill points you're going to have to delegate into your talent tree for simplicity. Okay, you've got your triangle here. You've got muscular, thin, and fat, and those change your attributes based on wherever you are on the scale. After playing the game for a couple hours, I can say that Constitution is more important than you would think. Being able to actually traverse the massive map, which is about the same size as Chernarus if you play DayZ, is pretty important. Intelligence is also important. It's how fast you learn new skills. Right now, the way it's set up is that if you die in-game, your character wipes your soft skills and you reset. Now, if you want a late game character, intelligence is important. If you want an early game character, somebody who has better stats in the beginning because you play a little bit more aggressively, you die more frequently, things like constitution, strength, dexterity are important. Strength affects things like recoil control, so you have better gun manipulation, constitution, endurance, run speed, stuff like that. Dexterity, reload speed, piloting skills, driving skills, a lot of that is not in play right now, so I'd say dexterity is one of the lower things on the list, at least for day one. Okay, so I'm going to mess with my character. I'm going to go pretty muscular here. I don't really care too much about intelligence, so I'm going to change him. I don't care about dexterity either. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make him 40 years old. I'm going to make him pretty muscular. He's still got a decent amount of intelligence there, which is awesome. And dexterity, I want at least 2 points in everything. Okay, down here you can play with this all on your own. I'm not going to go through all that. It's basic customization stuff. Now, whatever your points ended up at, it's going to double it. So I've got 10 strength points, constitution. You can see this here. As you slide over, it uses up a point. So you've got no skill, basic, medium, and advanced. I'm not going to go in detail on all of these items. I'm going to do another separate video on that so I can give you a more in-depth breakdown, but this is important. Some key things to know before creating your character. Boxing is relatively useful. You can box out zombies pretty easy if you've got decent skills with it. I do enjoy that. There is a lot more rifles in the game right now than there are handguns. So right now, as the game launches, you want rifles for sure, and melee weapons, like the first thing you craft is a knife. So you can, if you want to go melee weapons instead of boxing, you can, but you will almost never be unarmed. And my suggestion, what I like to do is I like to go boxing, because A, it's fun to box, and B, once I start getting 2 weapons, I can double carry and not have to worry about carrying a melee weapon, because if I want to go hand to hand with a zombie, I have no problem. My guy's a really good boxer, so I'm going to put a good amount of points into boxing. And I'm going to put a good amount of points into rifles. I'm actually going to get rifles up there. I'll do a little bit into melee weapons as well. And that looks good to me. Okay, Constitution, it's your running, your endurance. I'm going to just max out as much as I can on those. I actually prefer endurance. And dexterity, a lot of the skills are not in yet. Obviously, all these grayed out things are not in yet. Swimming, dexterity, 90% of it's not in. Driving, motorcycle, piloting, sailing, climbing, all that stuff, not in yet. But stealth is arguably one of the most important things in the game. So I'm going to put as many points into that as I can. Throwing, I haven't noticed any noticeable difference. You can almost always hit your target if you've got decent aim. It might affect damage, but I haven't done enough testing with that. Intellect, you choose what you want. What I can say, something important to know is survival directly dictates how many things you can craft from what I gather. So at least basic skills in survival. That's kind of one thing that you want to go. I still got 3 points to mess around with, so I'm going to go ahead and put a point into medical, so that way I'm not a complete moron when it comes to bandaging myself. Tactics, I have no idea what that does, and obviously I'll do another video when I know more about what it is. And I'm going to put 1 point into awareness and cooking. Okay. Well-rounded character. He's got strength, skill, most important thing, endurance. I can cross the map. He's not going to be a very good late-game character, but that's all right. Go ahead and click Create. It shows you a nice... Oh, look at his eyes. That's awesome. Okay, it shows you a nice criminal record. It's got the ID, it's got the name, it's got where you were arrested, when you were arrested, and a nice overlay of your character. This is basically a final check. Make sure he's good. Click OK. And in we go. Alright gents, now I'm going to go over the inventory screens and a little bit of basics on crafting. Again, going to go more in detail later on. This is just the basics. Okay, so this is one of my characters that I've been working on for a little bit. Haven't really visited any military bases yet, so I'm not super geared, but I do have some items. Go into the inventory immediately. You got page 1, 2, 3, 4. You can actually use those keybinds to scroll through. You've got your vicinity. You've got items that are in your local vicinity, a lot like DayZ. It'll show up as you go over them, and it's really nice. Inventory screens, this is your main items. This is all very basic. I don't need to explain it. Things that might not be apparent. The green number is how wet your items are and how much that is weighing you down. So you can go dry them. You can make sure that they don't hold you back, because they can actually get pretty heavy if they're wet, and it actually does slow your character down a significant amount. These boxes right here are all representative of your character's head, chest, and legs. Your head has slots for your helmet, your balaclava, your glasses, anything like that. You've got your chest, which is your backpack, your chest, body armor, gloves, anything that would go obviously around your torso and your arms, and your legs is your pants, your boots, and whatever else goes down there, an anklet or something. I don't know. I haven't found it yet. Okay. Right side, we've got your holsters. Just like DayZ, you've got 2 back holsters that can carry main tools or melee weapons or guns or rifles or anything like that, and you've got your hands. One thing that is really nice they fixed that DayZ could never seem to get right is that if you have a item in your hand and you swap to a slot, it's just going to go ahead and swap them out. So if you actually have 3 items, let's say I had these 2 items and an AK here, and I went to swap to the AK, it's just going to go ahead and put it on my back. It's not actually going to drop it, which is fantastic. It does drop it if you do drink water or something like that, so just be conscientious that you could drop an item on the ground. You need to go pick it up again. Okay, right over here is quick access, which is super nice in case you need to quickly use an item. So this can opener, one of the most valuable items in the game right now, I use quite frequently, so I just drag it over here. It puts it down on my bar. Super simple, super easy to use. If you want to remove it, just click remove from access. Very simple. I'm not going to go more into detail. I did forget to talk about this screen. Obviously, the bottom left is your character statistics, and the top right is fame points. Fame points are used to respawn right now. You can see my rank is bottom feeder. I'm pretty low on the totem pole, but as time goes on and you get ranked up and the game is updated, you'll be able to get perks. Think like Hunger Games. Donators can buy you items and send them to you, and you get them delivered to you in game. But right now you can choose to respawn randomly, respawn near a teammate, or respawn in the area that you died at, or even on your base, which is pretty useful. So it's a pretty big component to the game. Okay. Next page is crafting. Crafting is a very confusing page the first time you look at it, and if you don't know what you're looking at, you're not going to understand it. So first, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to find some rocks so I can show you the basics of crafting. The very first thing you're going to want to do anytime you spawn up is just find 2 rocks. Okay. It's pretty simple. You can literally look anywhere on the ground. You almost always find them on the first or second attempt. Look, I found 4 rocks right there. Yeah. It's not like Daisy where you spend 2 minutes doing a slow animation and craft a rock. I'm going to reference Daisy a lot because I'm a little butthurt over it. Anyways, so when you're looking at the menu, this left side is the queued item. You can click on any item in the game and it'll tell you what you need to be able to craft it. Okay. Down here you have a little arrow. You can click and you can see which items are substituted in here. These are all metal scrap. All of them work. Right here, things that might not be apparent. Wire. Or you can use thread, but you're going to need a lot of thread to be able to do this. You can use rope, improvised rope, tree bark rope. You know, you get the idea. It's really nice. You can use a toolbox. You can use a small toolbox. It's very handy, and a lot of things are interchangeable, so it's going to take you some time to figure out what things are. You can see what they work with. You can see the backpack interacts with the bone needle for some reason. I have no idea. I haven't gone that in detail, but you can see that it is pretty comprehensive. This right side needs a little bit of a rework. So if a dev is watching, I'm going to suggest that you make one change. If an item can be crafted, please make it green. Green means good to go. Green means you have everything you need. With this gray background, it's really hard to tell. But basically, if you can craft an item, it's just a solid gray background. If you cannot craft an item because your skill level is too low, it's going to be crossed out like this. Okay, so my character is just retarded. He's not able to build these items. I don't have enough points in survival, so it's really hard for me to make a fire. I actually have to go find a flint to be able to do that. So maybe put a point into survival, like I mentioned in the character screen. I didn't know that when I created this character, so keep that in mind. It's going to be harder to do certain things if your skill level is not high enough. Like, I can never create this ammo because my skill level is not high enough. But if it is yellow, that means I can craft it and I have some pieces to it. I have the nails in my general vicinity because it actually uses the items in your vicinity when crafting, which is extremely useful. And I'm missing a piece. I'm missing a baseball bat. Okay, I have the pieces for a wooden club. I have the nails. I just don't have a wooden club. Okay, the way you get wood planks to make clubs, so you can see here, is you just chop down a tree, and then it gives you wood planks. Actually, it gives you logs that you cut into wood planks. It took me a while to figure that out. Okay, and red means I can craft it, but I have none of the items at this moment. Okay, now this is going to be expanded dramatically as the game goes on. Okay. Metabolism, this is where you dig deep. I'm going to make a video on this as well. But the basic things that you want to know is you've got your different skill levels that you're leveling up here, and you can go all the way over a 30-day period, which is crazy. But you've got sickness, so you can see what ailments your character has. That's important. And then you can see your stomach. Those are the main things that matter. It even goes into minerals, guys. So it's like really, really in-depth, and I'll talk about it in-depth in another video. So make sure you hit subscribe. Last page is events. So if you want to do a PvP event, obviously there's not many players on the server right now because it's just a whole bunch of streamers. You've got anything that you want, you just queue it. As soon as other people queue it, it will teleport you there. If you die, you do not lose your character. You get to test all the guns in the game, figure out what you like. Basically right now it kind of sucks because all the weapons are on for pretty much every game mode, and everybody just uses an AK or an AKM. That's what it is. So I would practice it a few times. I'm warning you, it's going to get old real quick. It's just a little bit of a death match. The main game is running around and doing stuff. Simple? Got it? Good. Alright, gents, now we're going to cover zombies or walkers or whatever you want to call them. There are a couple different ways to take care of them early on. Later in the game, obviously, you're going to have guns. You can shoot them if you want, attract hordes, but it always pays to know how to kill them silently so that way you don't attract other players, don't attract more zombies. And the first thing I'd recommend is just going to a bush, cutting down a long stick, using your knife that I showed you how to make earlier, and just making an improved wooden spear. Very simple, very easy to make. I often run 2 or 3 of them right when I start. Pretty simple. Once you find a zombie, they're attracted to sound, so obviously the fatter I am, the heavier I am. They come running towards me. Hold left click, throw into them, it's a good knockdown. If you capitalize on it, you can run up and punch them. Kick them while they're down. That guy went down super fast. Okay, obviously headshots do more damage, and zombies will be wearing gear. Unlike DayZ, they're not just going to have like a random cracker, they're going to actually have gear. So you go ahead and search them. It's going to pull all their gear off, and then you have the option to chop them. You can actually chop them into a whole bunch of body parts. It's kind of weird. Okay, but you can see what gear they're wearing. If there's any items in there, there's going to be a box. You can click, drop them down, and pull that gear over. It's really good for killing military zombies because they often were wearing body armor or helmets. They're pretty easy to take down, and all you got to do is just drag their gear over. Bear in mind that when you do that, oftentimes they will be almost broken. So you can see this helmet is practically broken. Okay, go ahead and throw into this guy. He's big, he's fat, means he's going to take more hits than a normal guy. So I'm going to pull out my melee weapon, try to beat the shit out of him. They'll attack back. I find dodging back works a lot better than blocking. If you keep backpedaling, they can't hit you. Oh, just threw my axe away on an accident. Luckily, my guy has maxed out boxing. He is really good at fighting. Okay, he's also fat, so I mean, I suck at moving across country, but I can take down a zombie like nobody's business. Now, I don't want to lose this axe. This axe is super valuable because it allows me to chop down trees, which allows me to craft a whole bunch of stuff. So getting an axe, pretty important. Gonna go ahead and loot this guy real quick. Fun fact, movement keys, movement speed is bound to your mouse wheel. It took me a while to figure that out when I first started. Okay, so we've got items here. This is the equivalent of searching. If you've ever played Escape from Tarkov, there's nothing in these items. And if I want to drag them over, I can go ahead and drag them over. I can even just put them in my bag and then move them around if I want to. Okay, pretty simple. Let's go try and find another zombie. And this one I'm just going to go ahead and box. There's two of them. I'll try to take one out with weapons, then I'll swap to boxing. I put max boxing in this character. I just thought it would be cool to try out. If you land 3 hits in a row, he does this little combo, which is pretty sweet. So I can go ahead and throw from a distance. Nail him. It aggroed the other one as well. The other one ran to the sound effect. I don't know if you noticed that. You can actually throw items to distract zombies. That's kind of intimidating. Fat-ass zombie with more dexterity than me. See? Awesome boxing skills. Punch that zombie in the head. I already weakened him from the spear. One shot. Gets in a little close. Just capitalize. Go for the 3-punch. There we go. Knocked him down. Boxing in this game is actually surprisingly fun and very satisfying. Your camera dictates where you're going to aim, where you're going to kick. So if you're boxing another player, your character will lock onto him. You can strafe side to side. It's not a big issue. And if you just look down like this with your camera and attack, your guy's going to kick, which is awesome. Very nice. Very satisfying. Super fun. They nailed it. The hand-to-hand combat is amazing. It's better than any other survival game I've played to this point. They actually put some time into it. Works really well. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and grab these nails in case I find a bat, because I think the bat is going to be slightly better than my club. You can recover your item just by hitting F. It goes right into the right slot. It is super nice, super handy. Go ahead and search this guy. And if I really want to, I'll just go ahead and swap right here. Go ahead and chop this guy up. Now, keep in mind, these are not actual zombies. These are characters that prisoners that, like lore-wise, it's prisoners that died and got raised. They basically got turned back on. It's a computer program. So these parts are actually kind of human parts. They're not rotted, decomposed pieces. And it goes pretty in detail. I mean, you got arms, you got foot, you got guts, you got head. And you can like legit put them in your bag and carry them around. Fun fact, if you are looking to figure out how big an item is because it's not very clear, if you remove the top left item in a backpack or a bag and you hover over it, it will show you how big it is. If the item is if the backpack is not big enough, you will not get a clear picture of how big it is. But if you have one of those large backpacks, it's a good way to gauge and figure out how big items are. You can put sledgehammers and stuff into your bags and manage your inventory pretty well that way. Okay? Alright gents, I'm going to talk quickly about military bases. They're pretty simple. Really good loot is guarded by these giant mech robots. They're pretty intimidating the first couple times that you see them, but in actuality, they're pretty harmless. Unless there's other players there that are going to give you away, or zombies in the mix, they're not a big deal because they patrol the same route every single time. All you got to do is watch them do it once or twice to figure it out. And if they target you and spot you, which they actually are pretty good at and they can do from a long way away, they'll give you a warning. They'll say, "Prisoner, leave this area immediately," and you have about 10-15 seconds to get the fuck out of there or break line of sight before they start shooting you. If you break line of sight, they will actively hunt you down, and if they can still see you or they know you're in a building or something like that, they'll just stand by the door and wait for a good amount of time, and eventually they'll reset. If you leave the area, they'll reset pretty quickly and you can just come back in. If you get flagged as a hostile, they actually start shooting at you. You will be a hostile even if you leave and come back in for an undisclosed amount of time. I have not tested that, but I raided this military base. As I left, I got shot. I'll add that at the very end. But I was down there for a good 15 minutes finding loot, and you can see what kind of loot it was. These crates are what you want to look for, these military boxes, anything that has camouflage on it, and then there's an ammo crate that kind of looks like a little tiny ammo can. It's black in color, and it's often on shelves and stuff like that. That pretty much wraps it up, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I do appreciate your attention. I know it's a little bit longer than most videos that people watch on YouTube, but if you could share this with your buddies so that way they're caught up before you get into the game, it'll help everybody out. It'll help me out. I appreciate it. If you're interested in future videos, go ahead and hit subscribe because I'm going to do in-depth videos on loot locations, how the medical systems work, how metabolism works, how all these systems work, but just a lot more in detail so you don't have to be a noob.